How you guys doing? I'm Alex. I'm in your intercultural communication class, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a microculture that I'm part of. It's very near and dear to my heart, and that is the music genre synthpop. Uh, this genre of music, I like to listen to it once every couple of days, and some of my favorite albums from the genre are Currents by Tame Impala, The Bones of What You Believe by Churches, Little Dark Age by MGMT, Power, Corruption, and Lies by New Order. Those are just a couple of them. And synthpop actually finds its origins in multiple different genres of music: electronic, disco, pop, and glam rock. Electronic is still big today. Disco is pretty big in the 70s. Pop will always be big, and glam rock was pretty big in the 80s. Synthpop first took off in the 1980s as well, and it became very commercially successful. But after a stretch of about not the whole decade, about 8 years or so, it fell off in a big way, especially through the 90s and the early 2000s. But recently, past 10 years or so, we've seen a revival of the genre, as well as some of my favorite albums of all time, like some of the ones I just mentioned in the beginning. In my opinion, synthpop should most definitely be considered a microculture. Um, in terms of values, we value artistic expression over everything else. A lot of a lot of times today in popular music, you'll see labels and music corporations kind of pushing the artist out the door in terms of what kind of music they will be selling. Therefore, you're not really hearing what the artist wants you to hear. Rather, you're just hearing kind of what the corporation wants you to hear, which is not something that we like in the synth pop genre. In terms of actual music, though, heavy values are placed on the use of musical synthesizers. Most of the genre uses these synthesizers through the bulk of their music, and sometimes you'll see strings or piano sprinkled in here or there, but it's mostly the synthesizers. Another huge value that we have is the way that drums are done throughout the genre. We use, well, not me, but the genre uses drum machines to create heavy bass sounds that are very rhythmic in pattern, and it makes it very easy to dance to. Some characteristics of the genre: it often relies on synthesizers to create soundscapes that can't just be made with one instrument. That's why the synthesizer is really so important in the genre, because the artists are looking to create sounds that are unorthodox and unsimilar, and you can't do that with just one instrument. That's why the synthesizer plays such a big role. Um, Another thing that is very characteristic of the genre is the pitch of the chords that you'll hear. You'll often hear chords that should be very high at a very low pitch, or chords that should be very low at a very high pitch. They like to switch it up and make things, they like to push the boundaries, which is very refreshing, and especially in today's landscape of music. The music is very sonically pleasing, and in my opinion, it's very hard not to like, as you can often be taken away by rigid yet pleasing instrumentals. And what I mean by rigid yet pleasing is that the sound is not going to be like anything that you hear regularly. So it's gonna like kind of push you away at first because you don't know what it is. But once you really get involved with it and become familiar, you'll really learn to enjoy these sounds. Another big characteristic that happens throughout the music is that vocalists often put a lot of effects on their voices to give it a feeling of kind of like a different world or a different just space that you're in. For example, reverb is often used to create an echo-like effect that can completely change the way you hear a song. Um, in terms of traits of the groups, I know genetics was mentioned on the sheet, but I couldn't really find any genetic similarities throughout the group. Rather, I feel this group is tied together through traits of, I guess you could say, similarities of common interests and musical tastes would be the best way to say it. We all like this sound that pop synth gives off, so that's why we are all attracted to it. There's nothing really genetic to it. In terms of behaviors and patterns, the dominant culture of music is whatever's considered pop at the time. And actually, for the first time in a really long time, rock and roll is not pop. Rap actually took over that place. So rap is now considered the pop music. Now, that being said, pop is completely different from pure rap. Pure rappers are some people like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, other people like that. pop rap is like kind of the new guys you're seeing, like Lil Pump or Trippie Redd or people like that. So it's a completely different form of rap, but that is pop rap. Lil Pump, Trippie Redd, people like that. That is pop music right now in the United States of America. So that's what I'm going to be comparing synth pop to, since that form of music is the dominant culture. Um, Synth pop has one glaring similarity with this pop rap sound, and it is the drums. The drums, they pretty much use the same styles and rhythms. They also use pop rap also uses drum machines just like synth pop does, and they use heavy bass drums mixed in with snares to create this very rhythmic pattern that, like I said before, it's very easy to dance to. That's the one glaring similarity these two cultures have. Um, but other than that, they're very different. Rap still, especially pop rap, still continues to use like just singular instruments. In pop rap, the flute is being more and more used as it's kind of like a different instrument that hasn't really been used in rap. So it's nice that they're mixing it up, but still, it's very different from synth pop because synth pop is trying to do something much more experimental and broad, which is why they need to use the synthesizer and can't just use one instrument. And in terms of lyrics, they're both it's very different in both genres. Now you really can write about whatever you want when you're writing music. There's no rules or boundaries. You can just kind of do whatever. But there are certain stigmas that certain genres stick to. And one stigma that pop rap really sticks to is rapping about materialistic possessions, drugs, partying, sex, things like that. Common things that you see on rap songs. And in synth pop, the lyrics are actually quite different. You often see the writers focusing on things like love, loneliness, sadness, as well as focusing on themselves, self-reflection, and some of life's biggest questions. Now, just so I know, I am a huge rap fan, and well, I don't really like the pop rap scene, but I am a true rap fan of Kendrick Lamar, Cameron, J. Cole, just real true rap heads. That's the kind of rap I like. I'm not really into this whole pop rap wave, so no disrespect meant towards like true rap. Just wanted to get that clear. The prevalence of this microculture, the real important thing to take away from synth pop is that it has changed the course of music quite a bit. And I know that's like kind of like, whoa, synth pop is like this just a small genre. A lot of you have probably never even heard of it, but the synthesizer is a very widely used tool today in the music industry. You will hear synthesizers on 95% of the songs you're listening to on the radio. That's just the way it is nowadays. And if it were not for the synth pop genre to be pushing the boundaries and acting as trailblazers in terms of using synthesizers, we definitely would have a much different musical landscape today. So synth pop does have a lot to do with today's modern musical landscape, despite it not being the biggest or the most well-known musical genre. Some relevant facts for you. If you're currently looking to get into synth pop, now is a great time as the genre is currently experiencing a revival thanks to recent albums from the artists I mentioned before, Churches, MGMT, Tame Impala. The value of mainly using the synthesizer to create the artist's musical soundscapes is still widely used throughout the genre, while in a lot of other genres you see them shifting towards different styles of making that genre of music. For example, pop rap is using a lot more synthesizer than rap, like real rap is. So that's just something to take away. It has stayed true to its form, which I think is very impressive. Despite not being popular music today, it's already made its impact during the 80s since the rise of the genre, during the era that you saw more use of the synthesizer and more genres decided to adopt the use of the synthesizer. So it really flourished for a long time in the 80s. But just because it went downhill does not necessarily mean that the genre is garbage or it has no relevancy or it never made an impact on music. That couldn't be further from the truth. fact number 4, some of you may have seen the show Stranger Things 1 and 2, seasons 1 and 2. They both had soundtracks made completely using synthesizers, and actually the main title theme of season 1 brought home the Emmy for most outstanding original main music title. And in my opinion, this is pretty impressive because a lot of times I went back and looked at the lists of who has won this award, and a lot of times it's just massive orchestras kind of coming in and sweeping the award away. But I'm pretty sure it's just 2 guys who made the soundtrack for Stranger Things. So for 2 guys to just sit down in front of a machine and make some Emmy award-winning music compared to 20, 30 guys in the room next door that are playing a multitude of instruments like an orchestra, I think it's just impressive and goes to show you how powerful the synthesizer can truly be. And fact number 5, one of my favorite albums that I mentioned before, Currents by Tame Impala, was certified platinum in Australia and was certified gold in the UK and Canada. And it actually peaked at the number 4 spot on the US Billboard 200 list. And I think that's very impressive because it just goes to show you that the genre is not dead. People are still listening. People are still waiting for new good synth pop music. And I just can't wait to see the next big thing that comes out of the genre, really. My conclusion, despite the genre not constantly being played on radio airwaves throughout the world, it still holds a very special place in my heart. Because I enjoy just the sound of the music that comes out of the genre. I enjoy the lyrics. I enjoy the experience of listening to the music. I also love the genre because it's helped a lot of people. A lot of genres push their music forward. Like I said, the use of the synthesizer. It really cannot be stated enough how important that was to the musical landscape. And this genre was really the main catalyst in making the synthesizer go worldwide and become mainstream. And probably the most important reason why I love this genre so much is the people that also enjoy the synth pop genre. I get to connect with them. I get to share my experience with them. And there are tons of amazing people who listen to the genre. And when I get to connect with them, through the music, it makes the music feel even more special, and there's just not much else that can give me that feeling. There's not many other genres that can give me that feeling because a lot of other genres, you see similar music throughout the whole thing, but in synth pop, everything is different, and that's what's so incredible about it. And everybody loves the music. Everybody loves kind of just like what the genre is about, and we all connect and share through it, and it's really special. So I just want to thank you guys for listening to me talk about synth pop as a microculture. I'm looking very forward to learning about all of your microcultures.